Get this 11 to 1 weekdays on the Triple M network.
Yes, I'm still brought to you by Codral. It's good stuff. It's me, Tony Martin. Hello. Yes, polite applause for Ed Cavalier.
Hello.
He's here. And, of course, Richard Marsland, who, like everyone else, is excited about the new Harry Potter book.
Well, some would be and some wouldn't be. I haven't even read it.
All right.
He hasn't read much lately.
Peter Costello, no.
Both books about little guys in glasses with incredible power. I think you'll find the new John Winston Howard book.
Has he got a cloak of invisibility?
I think he marries Hermione Granger at the end. I can't be sure.
Does he?
I haven't made it all the way through.
Wow. You've been researching a lot of books. When are you going to give us a review of that Who Killed Channel 9 business? You're just waiting till it goes out of the news and everyone's sick of it?
That's right. Yeah, and then I'll do readings from that and also readings from the Fault book here in studio too at Triple M.
Oh,
What
the
book?
Fault book.
Some of the faults that go wrong in the studio.
Give us one now.
Well,
Here we go. We've never done this before. Opening the Faults book. It probably says, get this, still going to air.
let me find
Can
an
someone
interesting
sort
one
this
here.
out immediately? Never opened the Faults book.
Find an interesting one that everyone can understand.
Yeah, good luck to you.
No.
Don't spoil the ending.
That's not what we said.
Okay. This is one that I wrote.
Yeah,
Ooh.
there we go.
Going back to all the way to 1st of June 2007.
Halcyon days.
11:55 ad break. We tail all ad breaks on Get This with ST20, a McDonald's credit.
Yes.
It sounds bad when there's a Macca's ad before it. 2 Macca's ads in a row.
Wow. See, this is Marsden laying down the law
Yeah.
to other departments.
Well,
You've got to use, what?
well, just it would sound better as a top and tail rather than two.
Yeah, good point, Richard.
Not exactly value for money.
TT.
See, if you want to get things done, you need to inject a bit more foul language into those reports.
I
Did you
agree.
see Tony Abbott last night
What's happened?
on Late Line? He used some very mystifying language. Have a listen to this.
It's incredibly frustrating, or it must be incredibly frustrating for you in the lead up to an election day.
Sure, but not to put too fine a point on it, shit happens, Tony. We just have to cope. And the test of a government is how you cope with all of the vicissitudes which life throws up.
No, you don't go saying vicissitudes on the national broadcaster.
Absolutely right.
That's disgusting.
So he's mixing in the big arcane words with the potty mouth. It's like
Try
an
and get-
episode of Deadwood or something like
Trying
that.
to get the kids involved. Shit happens, Tony. I'm off to play hacky sack with some of my crew.
Do you reckon that's going to make them more popular if they start busting them out? They're getting onto the MySpace. They're going for that approach.
Well, if you take the MySpace approach, the idea of MySpace these days is that you present a better picture of yourself than is actually true.
Oh, okay. Right,
So you take a kind of windswept photograph of yourself.
All right.
You Photoshop your head onto McConaughey's body. All right. Maslin style.
And is that what John Winston Howard should be doing?
He's ripped though.
Yeah, he sure
Yeah,
is.
he can bench press. Who knows what? And then you list all your interests. All of your interests have to have like a skew that so that when girls read it, they're like, "Oh, he's so nice."
Right.
So you list your favorite movie. You have to put The Notebook. Sure, you do. Have a look on MySpace. Every single man, his favorite movie is The Notebook.
Is that right?
Always.
Wow.
Or the Princess Bride.
Yeah.
No?
No.
No,
What-
Rich.
So you don't put Half Past Dead
No.
with Steven Seagal.
That's not going to work. Dawn of the Dead, any of those sort of like horror films, not going to work. Because The Notebook's kind of like romance, but, there was a guy on a Ferris wheel hanging on. It's pretty tough.
Very good.
And then music.
Yep.
That's where you can bust out a bit of, exhibit. You can put some rap in there. But you better make sure that you've got one that you're pretending is just, I'm such a nice guy. I'm so tough, but I've just got this soft side that I don't know. I normally don't let this soft pink underbelly show.
And what's an
But-
example of that?
Whitney Houston or something like that.
Fantastic. These are good tips. I hope Tony Abbott is listening to this.
Mariah Carey's music box. That gets a run.
Wow. Write this down, politicians.
brilliant.
But good ideas for today's show. We have got a fantastic show set up today.
Sure, but not to put too fine a point on it, shit happens, Tony.
All right.
Wow.
No need for that.
Cover your ears. He should
man.
cover his own ears.
Here's what we've been accused of on this show, not generating enough water cooler talk.
That's very true.
Have we ever generated water cooler talk?
I don't know.
Well, we have now. Check this new segment. Get this water cooler talk.
I don't know why they have the two taps, because is one meant to be colder?
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't feel like that one's connected up. I just think,
No, that one is colder. I sometimes have that one that's colder. Do you ever just think if I unplugged it, would the water come out at a regular temperature?
like, how long would it stay cold for?
Exactly.
I reckon, like, 4 hours maybe. Overnight, do you reckon?
No.
think it's run out of cups.
Get this water cooler talk.
Has that got the nation talking?
Look at them. They've stopped their cars.
Cars are pulling over.
They're getting out.
People are texting each other.
They're hugging in the street.
You won't believe what I just heard. They've run out of cups. And that's just the tip of the iceberg today. And get this. Rob Thomas with Little Wonders here.
Now,
And get this.
Now, Tony Martin,
Yes. What?
when that song went to air,
Yeah.
you jumped out of your chair and you gave it a quick summary.
Did I really?
Do you want to repeat what you said, or should I do
There
it?
was probably swearing involved. It was probably a bit Tony Abbott for this time slot.
You're so hopped up on Codral that when the songs start, you go outside because you've got some headphones with some pretty pump and drum and bass.
I sure do.
Just to keep you going. And when that one started, which is a great song, one of Richard's favourites, he's got a tattoo of the lyrics on his buns. You jumped up and said, "Oh no, this is the most shithouse pile of wuss rock I've ever heard."
I did not.
Now that is unfair.
There was an effing in there.
There was. Rob Thomas and his wee small penis.
Well, it's just when you're coming out of like a comedy bit, you
Yeah, I
want.
know, Tony.
In the 80s, everyone wanted the heaters on.
Yes.
Out of their sketch. Na, 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 na. Not tinkle, tinkle, wuss rock. Look at me, ladies. I've got a MySpace.
Yeah, he's all notebook, that guy.
Okay, let's ramp things up as we
Ramp.
have. I'm afraid, sorry about this, Nikki. It's time for breast news. No, it's not cheap Norg humour, or in some parts of the country, Nork humour. This is actual medical information. Listen to this. Breast enlargements are now the most common graduation gift for girls who pass their secondary school exams in Italy.
And is good. I mean, or okay.
Well, at the graduation ceremony, they throw their breasts up into the air in celebration.
Well, is that it? Diploma, mortarboard, enormous fake jugs? My education is complete. Boob jobs have knocked cars and summer holidays back into second and third places, respectively. So will that become a qualification? These breasts are from Harvard, but these ones over here... I don't know. This Angelica Pesce from Rome said she and many of her pals will be going under the knife in a few weeks, having just finished school. She says it's a much more useful present than something like a car, which will break down after a few years, or a holiday which is over within a week. My new breasts will last a lifetime. Although there will presumably come a time when each will resemble an onion in a string bag. That's always the worry I find. What other breast news do we have? No, that's cheap and uncalled for. Listen to this from Bulgaria. A Bulgarian professor has promised students A grades if they write about Angelina Jolie's boobs and buy a copy of his new book. It's a professor, Professor Stefan Karayastonov, of the Geology and Geography Department at Sofia University, made the promise as a protest after he was not paid for 3 months because of cash problems. And now that sounds like fun, but not as easy as it sounds. Like, I mean, how much is there to say? How would you get 1,000 words?
I've got a lot.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the same word?
Well, obviously, quar. That would be one. You could add a lot of exclamation
How do you
marks.
spell drool, drool, drool?
Oh, come on.
No, that's cheap.
This is a medical segment. It's
Sorry.
not cheap. No, it's not cheap humour. Jeez. I don't know, writing a 1,000-word essay on Angelina Jolie's. Maybe you could just download one of the pre-written ones off the internet. Would they have any on there?
Probably.
Like if you typed Angelina Jolie's breasts into Google, would anything come up, do you think?
Oh, I don't think so.
This week's most common searches. Actually, there it is. Angelina Jolie's breasts, Cavalier meat pie tray law, Martin Malloy funny man feud, Marsland edible underpants fiasco.
What?
That's
What's
about.
that last one?
I'm glad to put that behind me.
What other breast news do we have? No, please. Uncalled for. Juvenile.
And baffling.
Quickie boob jobs in London. Listen to this. British women could be having boob jobs in their lunch breaks soon with a new fast-track breast enlargement procedure.
Goodness.
It involves extracting fat from the patient's buttocks.
Oh, wow.
That's always good. And then, I don't understand this bit, useful stem cells are separated out and an hour later a dose of stem and regenerative cells is packaged into a cartridge ready for injection. The breasts slowly enlarge over about 6 months. Please, Richard. Come on.
Show us your dose of stem.
This is an adult program.
I'm getting too Tregonning with these buttons.
They slowly increase. Like a plant. How do you water them? How do you encourage them to grow?
I don't know.
How do they know how to stop?
They, of their own accord.
Oh.
Of their own volition.
See, this is the argument you need to take for stem cells. Well, I don't know if it's useful. I don't know if it's not. Exhibit A, watch them grow. The watch them grow boobies.
No. No, please. It's not that kind of show, Richard.
This is an exciting new world we're living in.
Extracted from your own buttocks.
Yep.
Do you really want arse norgs? Honestly, in your lunch hour? Where are you going for lunch? Oh, I'm just going to pop out and have a whole lot of fat extracted from my arse and injected into me tits. Right.
Can I come?
Doing that at Subway now, are they? It's the lunchtime meal deal. Foot-long sandwich and arse norgs for $5.99. No. Richard.
That is the last one, Richard.
Please.
That is the last one.
That is out of order. Write that in the false book.
Okay, it's going straight in.
Arse norgs. It's so much more convenient, though, for office sex pests. Now you can grab someone on the arse and the breasts at the same time. Then the time saved can be spent trawling the net looking for pictures of Britney Spears emerging from a limousine, sans pants, dignity, and any chance of being invited back to the Mickey Mouse Club. Okay. All right, I'm calling this segment off. That is disgraceful.
That's enough.
Nah,
Richard, you've ruined it.
you've ruined it for everybody. You know how we're going to save this?
Yeah.
We need some more water cooler talk.
Get this water cooler talk.
Do you reckon the guy that brings it, do you reckon they just get it out of the tap? I mean,
How would we know?
we wouldn't know.
We should get a glass of tap water
Yeah.
and a glass of water from the water cooler and do a double blind taste test.
So both would just taste clear. How would you know?
Remember when they brought out clear cola?
Oh, yeah.
It was clearly cola, just without the colouring.
What if you got, like, clear cola and put it in the thing? Didn't tell me, mate.
I reckon after a while people would just assume that water was cola.
Get this water cooler talk.
They're pulling over, Ed. Look, people are just...
They're hugging in the streets.
They can't believe
They're
it.
siphoning their own arse fat out of their own arse and injecting it into their own boobs.
Don't you dare play us out of it. Nish, he's here with us.
Hello, sir.
Part of the Il Dago machine powering around the nation. How's that tour going?
It's going really good. We did a lot of sellout stuff in Melbourne and Sydney, and we're touring right around the country.
You know, you're from Brisbane, but Sri Lankan. Now, we're not across the Sri Lankan cliches on this show. What are the standard sort of racial cliches of the Sri Lankan people?
It's fairly similar to India. I mean, culturally, it's virtually identical. So, well, I'll give you an example. We're watching the Thank God You're Here episode last night.
Yeah,
right?
yep.
Okay. And after the thing, I get all these coaching tips from my mum.
Right.
She's like, yeah, what you did was funny, but, you know, you could have done a little more. Like, you know, when you open the door, like, you know, you just pushed it. You could have done a little more. And that's what she said.
Is that right?
And then Dad goes, you know, that other scene where you're with the girl and you're a plastic surgeon, I would have touched her.
Really?
Well, when you came in here, you turned to Ed Cavalier here and said, were you in that scene with me last night? And that's a very familiar thing for people who go on Thank God You're Here. I saw Peter Hellier was on last week and he got to the end and he goes, I don't remember anything that happened. And people laugh, but it's true. It's like being in a car accident. You can't remember who was on there with you, what unfolded, in what order, whether it was funny. There was one person who was on the show who called up the next day and begged them to cut all of his bits out of the show.
I have a feeling you're not going to name this person.
No, it was Sean McAuliffe. That's true. You won't mind me saying that. But, so well done. But do your parents give you notes in general on the act? Have they seen Il Dago?
Yeah, they saw it when we were performing in Brisbane. We'll be doing some other stuff in Brisbane later on.
And what sort of notes do you get there?
Well, see, Mum's really... Like, at the start, she wasn't happy that I was, you know, doing her fart joke. But now, now that it's getting a big laugh, she's like, whatever. Like, see if you can expand the range. You know?
Well, earlier we mentioned inappropriate workplace behaviour. What's some of the places where you've worked outside of comedy?
Of course. I used to work at Coles supermarkets.
Yes.
And I may have... I used to be a little bit aggressive.
Really?
So, yeah, it's quite unfortunate.
In what way? You get on the microphone?
No. Like, say, I used to push trolleys, and then, you know, sometimes people put their trolleys in the wrong place, and I would, you know, snap.
Yeah.
And, you know, yell stuff.
Oh, okay.
And maybe, you know, threaten with stuff.
Maybe chuck that rubber thing for the spill warning sign.
No,
someone.
like, there's one day, it was a hot, you know, Queensland, very hot.
Yes.
It was late afternoon, and this guy was taking his trolley across the road, and I asked him nicely to return it, and he said, nah. I asked him again, he said, nah. I asked him again, but this time more seriously and more convincing, and then I heard him call me an expletive, and then I just expletived back at him across the road, really loud, really angry, and he came over and he was just shaking because he thought I was going to bash him.
Oh, really?
And he told my boss that. But my boss just had a bit of a laugh with me and said, just pretend like I disciplined you, and, you know.
But you got the trolley back, yeah?
I got that trolley.
I worked in an army surplus store. We used to do... I used to drive a forklift, in fact. I know, it's unlikely as it may seem. This was my first job leaving school. Forklift ballet.
Yes, lovely.
Elaborate forklift choreography. Forklift jousting. That was a bit of fun. But this was at the beginning of the home video era.
Oh, yeah.
So we had like video equipment in the home appliance section at the Army Surplus store. And the first thing we wanted to do, Benny Hill chasers in the shop.
And?
Just at all hours of the day.
Someone dressed up as a dolly bird.
Because there was military gear. So we would put the military gear, run around, and then, somebody would have to have a set of clothes that you could rip off Velcro style, revealing just the underwear underneath. And people would be constantly coming in to buy Gurkha knives and bayonet frogs. People in camouflage gear attract a lot of...
You're going to need to help our viewers with the Gurkha business.
That's the knife, the Gurkha blade. I think it's called the kukri.
Okay.
I think it is. And it's...
Is that Rambo's one with the compass in the end?
That was a Bowie, wasn't it?
I don't know if this is true. The Gurkha knife, once it's removed from its scabbard, you have to kill someone with it.
Whoa.
I mean, that's what a guy said.
Otherwise it cries.
But, man, at all hours of the day, people would just be in there trying to buy stuff, and we were making movies. Inappropriate workplace behaviour. How's that? Nish has taken off his headphones in disgust.
Well, we dance along.
Because we've played the Benny Hill theme. I can understand that.
I love Benny Hill.
Inappropriate. You don't have to say you love Benny Hill.
I'm 29. I'm older than I was.
All right. What about you, Mr. Marson? Inappropriate behaviour?
Well, speaking of forklifts, I knew a guy who used to spend hours, and this is an old forklift driver's trick, which is to try and pick up a 50-cent piece with the forklift.
Yeah, that's how you know that you're...
Yes.
So, like a lot of forklift drivers, that is the challenge they set themselves for Christmas drinks or Friday night drinks. Get in the forklift and try and pick one up, a 50-cent piece.
Yeah, you've got to have the really pointy blades, though.
That's right.
The Gurkha style forklift blades.
And a friend of mine also, his parents used to own a delicatessen.
Yes.
And when people would come in, we used to play in there as children, just having fun.
Amongst the cured meats.
Amongst the boxes and the cured meats and the and the dried salmon and what have you.
What a life.
Yeah, the pig's feet. And we would sit in the frosty fridge section where you pull open the door and you get your milk. And we would just sit in there and creepily sort of just brush someone's hand as they grabbed for the milk or the orange juice. You would just sort of touch it in a creepy way.
Yeah, that's nice.
And because your hand is freezing cold.
No, I get that bit.
Oh,
Yeah. No.
It was like a dead body.
No, I understand.
Mr. Cavalier, we've heard a lot of your inappropriate workplace behaviour on this show.
We're talking about the time I totally did it in the back of the video store.
Yeah, and there was another time when someone else was involved.
Amongst the Freddos.
Sorry.
Halcyon days. Actually, but there was another time, at the video store, we opened a new branch. Great day.
New standees! Brand new life-size Stephen Seagal cutouts.
Carpets felt so nice. And I went in there, but I was 16 at the time, and Pulp Fiction was out.
Yeah.
So I was R-rated, and I'd got hold of a copy, you see. And I got another Terminator 2, I think, and another Deliverance, 3 R-rated films, which I was going home to have a good hard look at and really enjoy myself. But I walked into the new store and the security thing went off, and I said, must be, whoops, it's faulty. And I kept walking, and they all stopped. Everyone working on this, putting the finishing touches stopped and turned around and said, "What's the matter? Did that just go off?" I said, "Yeah, it's broken. Do you have any videos?" No, I got no videos in my bag because I wouldn't take any videos because I hate videos. I don't even know why I work here. And they said, "All right, really? No videos." All right, so I walked back out. It beeped again, and they said, I told them. And they got the company to come back and reset the whole security system because I had a few R-rated videos.
Because you had Deliverance and Pulp Fiction, the buggery box set.
Yeah, that's what I love. You're going home to enjoy yourself on your own with Deliverance.
Yeah.
All right.
Should have owned up.
Inappropriate workplace behaviour. We'll accept anything.
Hello, Graham. How are you?
Forklift Tiggy.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
Now, how does that work, Graham?
Well, you've got to hit the back of the forklift you're chasing with your blade,
Mm-hmm.
and then he's got to chase you. But it all sort of comes unstuck when the bloke in front slides out of the seat and the forklift keeps going into a wall.
Yeah, that'll happen, Graham. How do you
Oh,
explain
it will
that one?
very easy. Welcome to our show, Nish.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Hey,
Thanks a lot.
Graham, can I ask, did you ever get 4 or 5 forklifts, hook up a stereo, get the Blue Danube blasting out of it, and get some choreography going?
That's one to put on the book.
There we go.
We can try.
And now there's YouTube, so there's a home for that kind of stuff.
That is a great idea.
We've had ladies on front of the blades doing the Titanic thing at the front as we're
Beautiful.
driving along the yard.
Fantastic. And can you pick up a 50-cent piece?
20-cent piece.
20 cents, down to a 20 cent.
Wow.
Good on you,
You get a
Graham.
5 cent, give
That
us a
is
call.
fantastic. Hello, Rob.
A few years ago, used to Friday nights get on have a few beers, and we'd take photocopies of our willies or peepees and stick it on the girls' desks and just put guess who.
So it was harmless fun then. Harmless fun. Everyone's doing that.
Do you know what, Rob? This actually, when my mum was working for the tax department in Brisbane, this exact thing happened to her.
Yeah.
Almost every Friday.
I'm sure.
And do
She's still got the photos.
enter into the spirit of it? Do they try to guess who?
We never really heard anything back, really, other than a couple of comments from the boss that that's not appropriate work behaviour.
No, well, I think the key phrase is a few beers.
It's a great new show for Daryl Summers, though. That'd be lovely. Just shots of genitalia up and then a selection of 4 gentlemen. Daryl has to pick whose is whose.
What would it be called?
Daryl sees some gear.
That's going to catch on.
All right.
Who's got another bit of inappropriate workplace behaviour?
David, how are you?
Well, can I just say, I've been a paranoid wreck for the past week or so, waiting for this rubber duck invasion.
Right.
So have I.
I've
He
been
says it at
suspicious
the...
of every single duck I've seen.
What's it about? And I keep asking him to do it, and then he'll go, oh, I don't reckon it's break 3 quality.
Yeah, absolutely right. Don't worry, David. When it gets really close, you'll hear about it, all right?
So.
You'll hear it first here. Now, what's been going on at work, mate?
Well, I'm innocent of all charges.
Yeah.
But apparently, since I talked too much to a 34-year-old mother of 2, I'm 22,
Yeah.
Yes.
at a Christmas party, I'm apparently having an affair with her.
Really?
Oh, and how widespread is the rumour?
Only within my department.
Okay.
Now, David, is it true?
No, she's a lovely woman, we're friends, but no.
And so obviously floating this on a national platform is
So,
not going to enhance the rumour at
So
all.
you didn't touch her or anything?
No. Well, if I use names, I'll
What?
refrain from using names.
Did
Now,
you have-
David, do you... sorry, Nish, but tell me, David, are you getting it on with anyone at work at the moment?
Unfortunately, I work in a department full of about 30 to 40-year-old menopausal women.
Well, they're up for it.
No.
Well, what about a bit of guess who? Take a photo of something, some junk, leave it on the desk.
Thank you, David.
That Mexican bloke who's on a diet. Have you seen him? The Man Mountain.
Yeah, he's on diet and hormones.
He's down to a record low for him of 560 kilos.
He's wasting away. Imagine how big his boobs could be. They got all the fat out of his ass, sifted out the stems.
Oh, right.
Bang.
If you've just joined us, we were talking about arsenorgs, the new craze in London. All right, we'll follow that bloke's progress. He's almost able to leave the house without the aid of a crane.
Here's hoping.
It's progress.
You know, there's so many questions like, okay, we've said who's feeding them, but who's taking care of the other end?
Oh.
You don't want to think about it. Do you know what I mean?
No, the guy I really feel for is the guy that has to lift it. Like, imagine you'd walk up to the Mexican guy and you have to grab a whole handful of flab, right, and lift it up and clean underneath it.
Yeah, see, that's really...
Do you know what I'm saying?
Even on a Friday, unacceptable
Because
imagery.
there'd be 6 or 7...
The undercarriage would be a 7-man operation. I mean, just the lifting.
What are those wedding cakes called? The profiteroles?
You're calling him a profiterole.
You know, it's hard and you can't really get into the gaps. That's what it'd be. Cleaning him would be like, you know what you'd have to do? You'd have to get like
What are you doing?
You'd have to wrap...
Stop miming that.
No, you'd have to wrap your hand in a kind of medicated cotton bud up to your elbow and then lift up a flap and then just sort of get your arm in it. Really give it some.
Transcripts are available of this show on the net.
But people are doing that to you.
Yeah.
Just maybe that's a message to stop eating for just a day. Now, look, when are we going to do this rubber duck thing you've been...
Well, it's funny you should say that. What's your name? Because Michael French real name, has emailed in and said, what is the rubber duck invasion you've been sizzling every intro for the past 2 weeks? Well, Mr. French and listeners, here we go. Let's talk rubber duck invasion of the UK.
People want ducks.
Was that your cue? That was rehearsed, listeners. I saw them rehearse that during the song.
See, I don't point like Tone does. Tone points at you.
There's two things.
You're sort of looking out the window.
There's pointing and then saying the same thing that you said in the rehearsal. Like, if you can get those two, it usually happens in the right order.
Can we try it again?
Okay.
Oh, can we?
As we prepare...
Is this going to air?
Hang on.
God's sake.
No, it'll make sense.
First the fat bloke, now this.
Ready? As we prepare for the rubber duck invasion of the UK.
People want ducks.
Well, they don't want this many ducks, Silo. So thank you.
So much build-up. This is going to be gold, this segment.
Don't say things like that, Tony. You quadrille maniac. All right. A fleet of 29,000
Yep, sure. That's a
rubber
lot.
ducks is set to wash up on Britain's shores after a 15-year, 17,000-mile epic journey.
What are you talking about? Wash up?
The bath toys were set adrift in the Pacific after the container holding them was washed off a cargo ship in 1992.
Wow.
The packaging has corroded, but the ducks have survived.
So they've just been floating for 15 years.
They've been to Alaska, Siberia, Japan, Iceland, and Canada.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
Apparently now there's more of them that have split off from the main group, and they're going to show up all around in different parts of the world.
Oh, that's
Wow.
great.
Okay.
Now, I lost a G.I. Joe in Sydney Harbour in 1987, and if our Sierra Leone listeners could let me know when it arrives, I'd really be happy.
Change for $1.
Change $1 for that one.
Down at the nearest beach to me, I think a tanker of condoms must have tipped over at some point. Hey, people! I tell you what people love. Chris Nedelkos. He's a big fan of the Sheffield Shield cricket talk.
Good. Good.
Now,
Good work, Nedelkos.
I think he's wrong here. He says there has been no mention of Richard Chikwi,
Oh, how?
the Chinese batsman from New South Wales, the current lead singer from...
Six and Out.
Yeah.
Bing Lee, Brett Lee's band.
I won't use the words Mr. Nedelkos uses to describe Six and Out sound. But, he reckons we should be mentioning that bloke a bit more often.
Now, listen, Nedelkos, if you listen back to the tapes, you'll understand that he was one of the first cabs off the rank with Michael Divenuto.
Yeah,
Tasmania's finest.
With Nathan Remington. He was in there as
well.
well.
Richard Chikwi opened the batting for one-day match, I think in Adelaide, in the Stuart Law era.
Wow. Stuart Law era.
So, he has been mentioned.
Nedelkos is a big music fan because he says, me and my mates lose it every time you give Mars Lando's version of the Venga Bus a run.
The Venga Bus is coming and everybody's running from north to Ibiza in the Mediterranean sun.
So, Rich, how do we get from north to Ibiza?
Well, yeah, Ibiza is pretty north, isn't it? From north. Good point. I don't know my geography, but I know it's up there somewhere. And is it in the Mediterranean sun? I'm not sure.
It is, yeah.
Okay, great.
You know what I'd like to hear? Some more water cooler talk.
Get this water cooler talk.
You could get all of the empty ones
and,
and build a
fortress.
Yeah. It's slightly pointless though because it'd be clear, so people would be able to see when you're inside.
Clear fortress. That's not very useful.
I used to go out with a girl called Claire Fortress.
Get this water cooler talk.
It's riveting.
Oh, they're making out on the ground outside the studio.
bet they
Celebration.
Yeah, and look, Six and Out are coming down the street to play along. We've got to get Six and Out in here, I reckon. What's the sound? It can't be what this bloke says.
What? Paraphrase.
See Tony Abbott's earlier comments would be the way I'd paraphrase that.
It's kind of rock. It's cricket-based rock.
Kind of rock. We need a really good topic for Friday. Rich has floated one down in the office, and apparently we're going with it. What is it?
Rich?
Dodgy blonde guys.
Dodgy blonde guys. Why would we be doing that?
Well, it's been a week of blonde guys in the news. Peter Costello, obviously.
Yeah, he's
strawberry blonde.
Sort of blonde.
Yeah, and I guess
mousy blonde.
Yeah, it's kind of, but like just talking bad about John Howard.
I'm with you.
And then
who else?
Glenn Wheatley.
Oh, Glenn Wheatley. Yes, well, he's blonde.
Yeah.
Glenn Wheatley. I've realised how many times I've worked with him. Firstly, he was in Bad Eggs.
Oh yeah.
That should have been a giveaway.
Oh yeah.
He was Alan Bro's manager. Worked with him years ago in. I think about 20 years ago in one of the D Generation specials, we did a sketch. It was the Roadie of the Year Awards. And he came out to, yes, that's right, everyone was crouching and you can work it out.
Yeah.
And he came out to present it and it was Glenn Wheatley, but the super said Glenn Shorrock and the voiceover said Grant Dodwell, if I remember.
That's funny.
There's a couple of dodgy blonde blokes right
Oh,
there.
yeah. Obviously, Sting in the news.
What's he done?
Because him and his wife have just sacked their personal chef, allegedly for being pregnant. So
Oh.
she's claiming sexual harassment.
Look at the look of terror just come on Nicky Hamilton's face.
And they've
Right,
been,
Nicky.
No way. We're getting too much material out of you, Nicky. That's not going to happen.
then you've got Warwick Capper.
The cap.
Well, he's accused of being dodgy, but I don't want to endorse that in case it interferes with his ability to become the best ever mayor of the Gold Coast.
Brilliant. And Mayor of the Gold Hair as well.
All
Warwick
right.
Capper. Don't you think you should have a Goldie running the Gold Coast?
I agree with you.
But this is one I stumbled upon yesterday. Nick Nolte, who's actually sort of gone from blonde to grey now.
Yeah.
But there's
Often just matted is the style.
Is the website TMZ.com? That's that entertainment one.
Yeah, they get all the exclusives.
They get all the scoops, and there's these photos of Nick Nolte sort of passed out in an airport.
Oh, yeah.
And they're described as shocking new photos. But wouldn't a shocking new photo of Nick Nolte be one in which he's sober and perhaps he's posing for willingly?
Hey, Jay.
Shane Warne have to be right up there, I'd say.
Yeah. What's he done lately, though?
I saw him back on the telly the other day doing his hair replacement ads. I mean, that's pretty dodgy to start with.
Yeah. Do you think he's worried about being called dodgy?
There's only one thing that really worries me, and that's hair loss.
Oh, there you go.
Who's playing that bass? He's back doing those ads.
6 and out.
All right. Hey, 6 and out. Go straight to this caller here, Perry.
I reckon it's got to be Brett Lee.
Ooh.
I've seen his film clip,
Oh, what's
heard
in?
his music.
I haven't seen the film clip. Am I missing something good there?
This is for the song that he released in India, is it not?
That's the one.
Now, he's in an office or something, Perry? What happens?
I just remember he's singing with what's supposed to be one of the stars in India, and
Yeah.
she's as old as my granny.
Really?
Yeah, and it just doesn't gel very well.
He's kind of wooing her, isn't he?
It would, yeah, it's a bit creepy.
It's a bit Harold and Maude, is it?
Very much that.
Now, Perry, what do you know of the work of 6 and Out?
Not much at all.
What do you know about Richard Cheekwee, Perry?
Even less.
There we go.
Copy of Hot Fuzz for you.
Fraser, how are you?
Definitely got to be Jason Ackermanis.
Oh, he's a pirate.
See, I like Jason Ackerman.
He's a buccaneer.
It's not so much that, it's just for the blonde hair and the black goatee combo make him look like the guilty little kid who's got it the chocky bicky.
Well, that is worth a copy.
Pretty much nothing more to say about that. You've summed him up beautifully, Fraser.
Thank you.
Well done, sir.
He's got it, the jockey Becky. Copy of Hot Fuzz for you.
Well
Cheers.
done. Well done. Hello, John. How are you?
Used to work with this Swedish chef,
Yes.
and he was the most dodgy guy you've ever met.
Oh.
Now, John, can you give us a small rundown of his dodginess?
Yeah, we had a customer come in late, and he was spitting, and they wanted prawns, and these beautiful, great big green prawns come in a frozen 2-kilo block. So he runs them through those conveyor belt dishwashers
Oh, really?
to defrost them.
Fantastic. That's dodgy. Now, you say a Swedish chef. Did he talk like the Swedish chef on the Muppets?
No, but we used to talk like the Swedish chef behind his back.
Yeah. I reckon the Swedish chef was dodgy. He used to creep me out when I was a kid because he had real human hands.
He did too.
That was wrong on the Muppet Show.
And was he the guy with the glasses that had the eyes inside the glasses?
Was that Dr. Bunsen Honeydew?
Yeah, That's that was Bunsen Honeydew.
I'm Dr. Bunsen Honeydew.
That's him.
And this is my assistant Beaker. There you go. Sorry about that,
That is the
everybody.
best impersonation you've ever done, Richard. We've finally found your perfect one, Beaker.
I didn't mean to. Tony was going to do it, and I accidentally.
No, I wasn't going to do it.
I beat him to it. I didn't mean to.
Wow.
Copy
Race
of Hot Fuzz.
for Beaker.
Oh, thanks
Now, no.
for that impression.
Hello, Vince.
Hi guys, how you going?
Excellent. Who's Dodgy Blonde?
Yeah, I just recently purchased an American DVD, and it was Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin.
Oh,
Oh, you purchased an American... Well, you didn't send away for the Region 1.
Yeah, Region 1 DVD of... It's good. Only reason is because it had the audio commentary with director Chris Columbus and Macaulay Culkin. That was an updated one. So.
Wow. Okay, I've never heard of anyone going offshore for a different version of Home Alone. And what do they have to say of note?
I was just the funniest thing was hearing Chris Columbus in the same room with Macaulay Culkin actually tell Macaulay Culkin that he has had a fruitful career and a very successful career, and Yeah, I don't think he has.
No.
Well, he's just released a novel, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's written books now, I
Yeah,
think.
he's a book-writing author.
Yeah, I think it was the worst book of last year, voted by Entertainment Weekly. Yeah, so that's you can put that on the front, obviously. Shift some units. I obviously hadn't
Better
read
than Nicole Richie's
The Truth About Diamonds. Yeah, the only novel that comes, like a novel, a fictional novel that's not about her, comes with 8 pages of colour photos of her leaving nightclubs. Come on, Peter Carey, get with the program. What about this Haneef case? We've not really talked about it on the show.
No, hang on, I don't know anything about this.
Well, who knows? Is he innocent? Is he guilty? That's not for Triple M radio announcers to decide, I'm guessing.
Isn't it?
But
Yeah, I think the federal police were making some markings in Tim Zura's diary as well.
Oh, really?
See, this is
That's what I heard.
the diary. That's what I want to talk about. A new bungle has emerged in the investigation.
So what's Haneef been up to?
Well, listen to this. AFP officers wrote the names of overseas terror suspects in Dr. Haneef's personal diary.
Okay.
So they took some notes in his diary.
Okay.
Only to later grill him during an interrogation over whether he had written the potentially incriminating notes himself.
Even though they were in different handwriting.
That's right.
Assuming a different pen.
How does that happen? Well, luckily we've managed to obtain the recording.
What, an exclusive?
An exclusive
man.
recording of the interrogation. Check this out.
Now, Dr. Haneef, very interesting list of names in the back of your diary here. Just for the record, did you or did you not list the names and contact details of several suspected suicide bombers, that's right, in the back of your own personal diary? No, I did not. Is this not your own handwriting? No, that is not my handwriting. Come on, Dr. Haneef. You're sure... What? What? Joking. Oh, God's sake. Well, my apologies. Turns out that is Officer Remington's handwriting. He made that list himself, due, no doubt, to a shortage of notepaper in the department. He was obviously forced to make his notes in the back of Exhibit A. But never mind. Perhaps it would be more fruitful to move on to the confession. That's right, the confession we found in your apartment. What confession? Oh, don't play the innocent, Dr. Haneef. This signed confession was found on the floor of your kitchen during a search. I see. Okay. I'm sorry, it seems that was a draft of a proposed confession that Sergeant Zura had been working on in the car. It may have fallen out of his pocket during the search. Well then, what about this report that just recently somebody had conducted a forensic-style search of your apartment, Dr. Haneef, specifically to find and remove any evidence which may prove incriminating against yourself? Of course, that would have been us. Makes perfect sense. Nonetheless, that does lead me to several eyewitness accounts from onlookers at your flat who shortly after the arrival of AFP officers witnessed you, Dr. Haneef, fleeing the scene at high speed in the back of a car with a flashing light on the top. Ah, that was Swimmer transporting himself.
Right, of course it would be. I see. Well, you may have wriggled out of that one, Dr. Haneef, but how then do you account for reports that you are presently embedded in an organisation which oversees hundreds of armed men stationed at secret locations all over Australia?
But I don't...
Oh, come on, Dr. Haneef. Who is this organisation?
It's the AFP, Sarge.
Us again, is it?
Yes, we're the AFP. And he's embedded in one of our cells, of course.
Very clever. What about the fact that somebody in this room has been leaking information to the press?
That was me as well, Sarge.
Right. What about this gun?
Again, that's mine.
This SIM card was found on your person.
Oh, I was wondering where that got to.
Uh-huh. Who has been secretly recording this interview?
Standard procedure now, Sarge.
Oh, for sake, is there anything here that hasn't been done by us?
Well, there's conducting the investigation in a competent manner.
Quiet, Haneef.
That was actually me, Sarge, doing my Indian voice.
Christ, have we got anything on this bloke at all?
Well, we do have that shot of him and his wife with that shark at Darling Harbour Aquarium.
Shark? What sort of shark?
Great white, Sarge.
The ocean's most notorious killer?
That's the one.
Oh, looks like you're Nick, Dr. Haneef. Let's see the photo.
There you go.
This is a shot of you and the boys from CIB coming down the water slide at Wet and Wild.
Sorry, I've left the other one down the pub.
Oh,
This isn't over yet, Haneef.
Oh, there's more to that tape. What I find out is every single person involved in that case seems to have a cold.
It's true. It is winter. Tone, which breakfast radio announcer did you get to do the Indian's voice?
Oh, I can't reveal that.
Really?
I can't. That's sub judice.
Could have been anyone.
Can't reveal my sources. Good to see Sergeant Zura on the case.
Lovely
though.
to see Inspector Rimington getting a go.
Get this, it's blown out to 2 hours, 11 to 1 weekdays on the Triple M network.